Hello and welcome to this upload where we're going to go over my LPL All-Pro teams from summer 2023. Keep in mind this is going to be 100% stats based. Although I did watch all the games and I feel like I have a good grasp on who is belonging on this list and who's not. I mean, looking at the stats, it checks out with who I think for the most part belongs. Order may be different. People may have other opinions. If you have opinions, feel free to comment below or join the Discord. I know that the tier lists channel, a lot of people have been posting their all-pro teams. I think the LCK ones are a little premature because LCK is not done, so I don't know why we would do LCK ones yet. But as far as the other regions are concerned, if you'd like to post yours there, you can. Just make sure you put, if you watched all the games, if you only watched good teams, then you're probably going to have a problem with some of the players on this list, because you may say to yourself, oh, that player was on a bad team, they shouldn't be on there. And I think that means that you need to do more research, not necessarily that you're accurate per se. You could be if you actually watched all the games. I think a lot of people like to say, hey, I think this, but also just so you know, I'm not going to tell you, but I didn't watch all the games, or I didn't, I don't treat all the teams equally going into each game, and I think that can cause for some bias, and bias is never good for something like this. Especially players utilize this for their negotiations and things like that. Not my video, but in things that matter when the LPL does pick and things like that. So we're going to do the all-pro teams, and then I'll tell you who the MVP was based off of this. We're going to start with the rookie team. There are no specific, well, the stats were used to determine this, but there aren't like a ton of rookies, so it is what it is. In top lane, the best rookie was YSKM. YSKM for IG obviously had a better spring than summer, but YSKM did better than Zhaozhou in my opinion. Harry, Invincible I don't think was a rookie. I'm missing somebody though. Zhaozhou, I think I may have just said Zhaozhou. Zhaozhou, Harry, Invincible wasn't one. Decade played, but I don't think he actually played enough games. I think Fearness played more than he did for LGD. Nevertheless, YSKM was rookie of the split in top lane. In the jungle, we have Hang. I thought Hang played excellent. Honestly, I think that maybe he deserves not MVP, but rookie of the split. I thought he played excellent. He's definitely improved since spring, and he continues to be a very, very good facilitator. Honestly, a lot of Wii's success go through him, and I'm really excited to see how he does in 2024 when they return, hopefully with Shanks in mid, and even Iwandi in the support role I thought did very well. So with that in mind, we're going to go with the next player on the list here. Tangwan and LP, both from RNG, are on the rookie team. I think LP is a rookie. Obviously, Leave didn't play enough to be on this list. And LP did well for RNG for the most part, given his stature and being moved from LNG to RNG, playing with a brand new support in Lamau. So LP did well. Tangwan obviously really improved over the split. We're not taking into account playoffs. Keep that in mind. This does not take into account playoffs at all. But we've seen his development, and I think that it's really noticeable. In the support role, we have Feather. I think that he may have been the only rookie support, so congratulations, buddy. Baolan only played a few games for Rare Atom in summer. Feather just taking on most of it. There was one XN for rookie in 80 carry. He did not beat out LP in stats for me. So Feather ends up getting it. Keep in mind, due to the LPL's limited stats, I only have like 6 or 7 stats to go over: CS, KDA, gold per minute, damage share, damage per minute. I might be missing one. What you got? KDA, CS. Maybe there was only 5. There might 5 or 6 stats. So we're gonna go over that now. Third team in top lane is Bin from BLG. Bin was top 3 in multiple categories. This includes CS. He led the LPL and CS in top lane with 8.7. That resulted in gold per minute of 422, which was also first. He was second in damage per minute at 524, and third in KDA at 3.9 in top lane. So Bin ends up being third team for the top lane. We're going to do it this way. So this is the biggest surprise. This is one of, I would say, 3 surprises on this board, and it's because of stats. The third ranked jungler is Xiao Hao from Anyone's Legend. Now, Xiao Hao, you got to keep in mind, this is relative to the role, relative to the team, and relative to the region for me. So, he was first in KPA amongst all junglers, KP, not KPA, amongst junglers at 81.4%. Over 4 out of every 5 kills Anyone's Legend had, Xiao Hao was involved. We saw nasty Lee Sin games out of him as well. He was second in CS per minute at 6.2, so he's very carry-oriented. And across all these categories, he graded out as the 3rd best jungler. A lot of junglers were good in some and terrible in others, very one-dimensional. And Xiao Hao, I mean, actually, when you think about it, these 2 stats, KP and CS per minute, it indicates either Anyone's Legend played extremely slow, or that Xiao Hao was constantly doing something, whether it was farming or creating. The third mid laner is Knight from JDG. Knight would have top and gold per minute at 436 amongst mid laners. DPM, he was third at 632. There's a glare here. 1 second. 692 DPM, I think. Second in CS per minute at 8.6. So yeah, he was first in gold per minute, first in damage per minute, second in CS. So Knight, obviously, that's not a shock to me how well he did. Unfortunately, there's a glare for the light. My overhead light is glaring on my other board when I'm reading this. But, I mean, we all know Knight's really good and he was going to end up on this list. It was just a matter of where. When you lead in gold and damage, like, okay, you're getting fed amongst your lane compared to everyone else in your role. And you're dealing more damage than anyone else in your role. Second in CS at 8.6. That's above average. The CS numbers are definitely lower this year than in years past for mid lane. And that was because of the facilitator meta we saw for a lot of summer. Third bot laner is Elk. Elk was second in gold per minute at 489 and second in DPM at 719. So a lot of damage out of Elk, a lot of gold, similar to the Knight situation. He's getting fed and he's following through on it. I mean, there's an argument to be made. There are more than a handful of very, very talented AD carries in the LPL this past split. So, excuse me, I could see a lot of different, a lot of different people, a lot of different, results, a lot of opinions for AD carry. Support missing his third team. There aren't as many stats to go over for supports in the LPL. Unfortunately, Games of Legend, which is where you found stats for this, LPL doesn't release their vision stats. So we don't have the things like wards cleared per minute, wards placed per minute, control wards, vision score. The 4 key things that I think we need for support. KP, KDA, and damage only do so much. Frankly, I would prefer not to use damage at all because it's very team-oriented. But with the limitations, it is what it is. Missing had the best KDA among supports at 5, and second most damage per minute at 169. So, that is what that is. I think people are going to be like, oh, why is missing third once they see, what the rest of it is, but that's fine. Second, for top lane, Breathe. Now, Breathe was not exceptional in most categories. Only third in KP at 57.3%. But he was in that upper half across everything, where you see Bin in some categories towards the bottom, where we see who is first towards the bottom in some, well, Bin specifically. I mean, who's in first is better than Breathe, but Breathe put together a very good split. I think under the radar, a lot of people, including myself, have held him to. I mean, he played better than he looked, if that makes sense. Like, the stats are telling me that he played better than how he looked, and that's why eye test and stats, how they jive. Not to mention, it's relative to the team and relative to the region. The top lane, not as like when I look at like the top 3 players for the MVP for this, top lane wasn't even close, because it was so tight towards the top amongst quite a few players. Second jungler is Shun. Shun was top 3 in quite a few categories. Second in KDA at 5.6, gold per minute 396, damage share 16.8%, damage per minute at 420, and third in CS per minute at 6. So Shun obviously had an excellent split. There's no doubt about it. He really, really performed well for BLG. BLG as a whole, first, so they deserve that credit. And it is, I mean, he played great. He played great. I thought he was really the top side of the Rift really made things go for BLG, Bin, and Shun, relative to the rest of the region. A lot of people like to give Yagao that credit. I think Shun played exceptional compared to other junglers. Second mid laner, UCal. Now this is another shocker. So UCal from Thunder Talk. This goes back to how players perform relative to their team. He had the most CS per minute out of any mid laner at 8.9 in the LPL. Highest KP at 71.6. So similar to the Zhao House situation, we have a player that farms more than anybody else, also involved more than anybody else. So Thunder Talk are playing around him, and they're allowing him to get resources. He was second in damage share at 28.1%. So only one mid laner in the LPL were more important to their team than UCal when it came to damage. So UCal deserves a lot more credit than he's given. I thought Thunder Talk obviously disappointed me. I expect higher things out of them. UCal had stretches where he left a lot to be desired, but when push comes to shove, the stats say that he was actually pretty damn good. Second in bot lane is Gala. So Gala from LNG. He was second in KDA at 6.9, second in damage share at 30.6. Oh, this glare. Third in CS per minute at 10.1, and third in gold per minute at 481. So getting fed, getting a lot of farm, dealing a lot of damage, doesn't die a lot. I mean, what else do you want, right? Alongside a brand new support in Hung, on a brand new team with LNG, one of the top teams in the end of the, at the end of things, going 12-4. Obviously an excellent player in that top 10 in the world conversation. Kesa coming into meta towards the end of the split also boosted his numbers a tad bit. Second support, Chow Chow. Now this is another thing, because it's like, why would you have Chow Chow above missing? Well, you look at there's not many stats, like I said. So if vision was a thing, I would surmise FPX's bot lane I thought did solid given the circumstances. To be able to actually like free themselves up to go get vision. You know what I'm trying to, hypothesize and then think back to how the split went and be like, would the vision score be high? Chow Chow had more KP than anybody else at the support role, 78.9%. So he ends up being second, in part due to that. And he was also fine in KDA and damage per minute. We're missing, was not near the top in KP, which is why he ends up, over the aggregate of the stats, not as high. So, Chow Chow, second team for FPX. LWX and him actually, LWX and Chow Chow I thought did pretty well. It was the jungle for FPX that was awful, Hacker, and then they signed Bonnie, but only played Bonnie for one series. I mean, I don't know if there was like a communication issue and that's why they didn't play him farther or further, but it is what it is. First team in top lane, Shanji from OMG. First in damage share at 25.2%. First in damage per minute at 538, and second in KP at 57.4. So, very carry-oriented, right? That is Shanji. We saw if OMG were winning, it was because Shanji was involved in playing at a high level. He was the make or break for a lot of the series for OMG, and Shanji's one of the best in the world. So he's up there. It's not a shock. 2 of the top 5 in the world are in the LPL and, up there. Some people may say, where's 369? Well, when you're on a great team, the stats don't always look the best. Then that is what it is. So you got to figure out who takes the credit for the success. And, 369 wasn't the case for me for, the way stats look. First in the jungle, Kanavi. Speaking about JDG, Kanavi, Knight missing. Like, I think I'm trying to say that this mid-jungle duo, Kanavi and Knight, were what really made JDG go. Kanavi, first in KDA at 5.8. First in CS at 6.7. Well, if you're farming a lot, you have a lot of gold. Gold, 402. Damage share, 18.9. Damage per minute, 472. All those categories he was first in amongst junglers. Nobody was matching Kanavi in any which way. He went 14-2. Kanavi is not the reason. He's outstanding. 1A, 1B with Canyon. Given where D+ are this split, Kanavi probably takes the cake once more. Just similar to how it was in summer last year. Now, obviously, Worlds, the way Canyon played on the Kane, just kind of made me forget about Kanavi. But we just kind of ignore those things. So, Kanavi, excellent. In the jungle, first in mid lane, Scout. Now, we look at LNG. Most of LNG's wins were because of Scout. The way he played. Once again, similar to how Spring was. First in first in KDA at 5.5. Damage share, he led 28.3. Second in damage per minute at 651. And second in gold per minute at 429. So, one of the most fed mid laners and dealing the most damage, not dying a lot. Scout played excellent. Everything went through him for LNG, and I think a lot of people would agree that he was their most important player. So it's not a shock that he's up there, and he is where he is. I think some people may say, where's Yagao? I mean, there are similar to AD Carry, a lot of very good mid laners this past split, and stats say this is the case. I feel like a lot of people that are going to have a problem with that didn't watch enough of Thunder Talk. And maybe they still could have watched all the games and came to that opinion, which I think is valid. But I find that, that vocal bit tends to skip around on things. Hell, I had somebody in my power ranking video say, where is OMG in Ninja in Pajamas in the comment section? And I think to myself, well, I'm pretty sure in the video I said this is only Worlds eligible teams. So that means you skipped around. What are you, you're forming opinions and you're not, being thorough. Bot lane. The first bot laner, Jackie Love. Where's Rookie? Like I said, I feel JDG, and the stats tell me that it was mid-jungle that made the difference, and I think I could see that angle. Jackie Love, first in KP at 74.1%. So 3 out of every 4 kills, Jackie had something to do with it for top. First in CS per minute, damage share at 32.6%. Damage per minute at 741. Third in CS at 10.1. So dealt a shit ton of damage. a lot of damage relative to the rest of his team. Nobody else in his role did that, and nobody else in his role were as involved and important in getting kills as Jackie Love. Now, this is where the big surprise happens. I mentioned in the Discord. Jackie Love ends up being MVP. And we're going to just kind of gloss over that for a second and do something. Oh, I forgot this color. Top support is Crisp. I thought Crisp played excellent with Weibo. Really kind of putting himself back in that conversation for top 10 to 5 supports in the world. He was second in KDA at 4.9. Very involved alongside Light. A lot of Light success had to do with Crisp. Let's circle back to Jackie Love. So, when I think of MVP, and this checks out, when you look at this, this checks out. I believe MVP is truly most valuable player. Most valuable player. So you have people that say the best player is the most valuable player, regardless of what team they're on. I am of the belief that the most valuable player is the most valuable player to a team. Without that player, the team falls apart. It becomes absolute trash. When you look at JDG and BLG, I say to myself, Bin, Shun, and Elk are up here. A lot of people like Yagao. So if one of those players was replaced with an average player, would BLG still be a playoff team? I would say yes. JDG, 369, Kanavi. Well, we have Kanavi, Knight, and Missing up here. If one of those three are replaced with an average player, I still think they're a playoff team because of Ruler and 369. Now, Top Esports, Jackie's the only one up here. Mark had a good split. Rookie played very well, but only 3 spots for mid laners. Wayward is getting gapped, and Tian is one-dimensional. So if you replace Jackie Love with an average 80 carry, I think Top Esports are hurt more than BLG or JDG if they lost one of the players on the board. OMG Shanji probably deserves a little bit of credit because no other OMG players are up here. In terms of the stats, Kanavi was the second best player, and then Gallo was the third relative to the role. Now, I would say that, like I said, stats only say so much. I would probably have Scout above Gala, if that wasn't obvious the way I described it. But as far as this is concerned, I think Shanji was excellent. Zhao Hao was excellent. Like, going into 2024, whoever gets Zhao Hao, like if a good team gets Zhao Hao, you could have an angle on your hands, kind of like how Shun looked this year, where he looks really good on a good team. Somebody that may want to replace a jungler to get to the next level, Zhao Hao may be that guy. You think of like even Weiwei with Weibo. I didn't like Weiwei with BLG, to be honest. And you think about it, BLG had Bin, they had Fofo. Both players made the playoffs with their teams. Doggo left a lot to be desired, but then Crisp at support made the playoffs. So you'd think to yourself, Weiwei probably could have gotten the job done with that team, should have been able to get the job done with that team to get them into the playoffs into a higher standing, but he mental boomed. Now he goes to Weibo, he does well. That's kind of how I see Zhao Hao right now. I think that there's an angle there if he gets an opportunity that he could really kind of cement himself as a pretty good jungler in most people's eyes instead of just somebody that looks good on paper. UKL, obviously, a lot of people know him. And Chow Chow, an older player that just looked really good, and support doesn't have enough stats. So I'm sure this video, is going to ruffle some feathers, but like I said off the rip, if you skipped around and you don't understand why it is the way it is, then I don't have anything nice to say. I almost said something that I really shouldn't say. So that's it for the roundup. Thank you for watching. Not the roundup, Jesus Christ, I don't edit content if that's not obvious. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord if you'd like to talk about these things in the tier list channel. Become a YouTube member if you'd like my predictions on games, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.